Hey, what's going on, guys? And today I wanted to do a video review for this 30-inch industrial fan. So I wanted to go over the installation on this. I'll show you some of the functionality, and then I'll give you some overall thoughts on using this so far. So in terms of assembly, it was fairly straightforward. You have a very large base piece. This actually has a cover that hides some of the bolts, but essentially you'll install a spring into the actual base piece here, and then you have screws that go all around. I would recommend using a second person to help assist you with this. You're basically going to want to lean the base plate on its side, and then you're going to take these washers with these bolts, run them through, and then you have essentially a nut that goes on the other side that then tightens, and you can use a Phillips head to tighten all these. Once you're done, this is pretty much fully ready to go. The spring will put some resistance on this, but that is ultimately what's allowing you to raise the actual base of the fan up or down. You have an adjustment point piece here so you can lock this in place once you're happy with the height that you have. And then you have basically the motor up here. So this is pretty straightforward. It does get hot over time, obviously, so be careful touching it, things like that. But you have a pull cord here. You can pretty much pull this as needed to change between 3 different speeds. I'll demo that here for you in a bit. This has pretty much a standard length power cord. You can see I have it plugged directly into the wall, but you do have you know, some extra cord length here depending on how far away you want to plug this in. In terms of the fan itself, this basically has a large bracket that covers the actual fan shroud and the blade. What you'll end up doing is actually attaching this to a long piece that kind of comes out, and then there's actually a screw. It might be a little hard to see it, but on the middle piece here where I'm pointing, the screw basically tightens down onto the rod that comes out of the motor. That way the blade will not hit any of the you know, the actual metal around this. When I initially set this up, I didn't tighten that well enough. You will notice that there's a small, like, flat piece on the center, so when you put the screw down onto that, it's going to make sure the blade is really tight to the entire motor. Then beyond that, you have these little pieces here. These basically just flip down, and then you lock them in place, so this basically allows you to tighten everything. And in this particular case, there was actually a single center piece that allowed you to drop this onto a hook here. So the rest of these you pull up, and this allows you to kind of get it in the right, correct position. And then you just unlock all of these and lock them in and make sure you're tight on both pieces. Once you're done, this is pretty much ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and power it on. Of course, being already plugged in, you do have another option here. You can kind of angle the fan either up or down. This fan particularly does not rotate any direction, it just blows in one direction. But you can, you know, change this. So if I wanted to have it go down this room, I could kind of have it go at an angle or straight or up, right? So you have a few different options there. I just kind of have it pointing down at a slight angle. So I'm going to go ahead and power this on. Just one pull. So this is essentially the low speed mode, and this will pick up pretty good. This is usually what I've been running it for in this particular space. If we hit it again, I believe that actually turned it off. So if you do a light pull, I think it'll turn it off. If you do a strong pull, this is the fastest mode. And then I think that turns it off. So essentially it rotates through on-off, but then can go into different modes. So I think that's the lowest speed. So now I've actually been running this here in our space because we recently had some water damage, unfortunately. So I'm running a dehumidifier here. I have another dehumidifier down there, and this fan has really helped move the air around so we don't end up with a lot of residual mold damage, or, you know, it's really allowing the air to move and the humidifiers to work to help with some of the water damage that we had. So overall, I'm very happy with this fan, whether or not you're going to be using it for a shop fan or use like this where you're dealing with like water and you need to move air around. This is definitely going to do the job. Overall, I do also have something that detects usage. This will probably use about 200 watts of power. If you want to compare that to something as a reference, a typical space heater might use about 1,000 to 1,500 watts. So it's not really going to use a ton of power being on, and I've been able to keep it on 24/7 without any problems at all. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you found this helpful.